Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is if you have your Sun in Leo and Sagittarius rising. I'm a Sun in Sagittarius myself, so I know what it feels like to be a fire sign, but I have a lot of earth in my personal points, and I am quite introverted. So this combination is definitely different than that. Fire is masculine energy, and that yang energy is very extroverted, very confident, and you could even say in some cases aggressive and loud. And I have found, being a fire sign, that when I'm around people who are very extroverted, it can feel draining. So, what I would say first and foremost is look at how you carry yourself. The rising sign can be how you behave in public or in social situations, is the best way of putting it, and people's first impression of you. And with Sag, there's a very happy go lucky, expansive, fun loving type of vibe that is coming from somebody like you, adventurous. And it's interesting because I do celebrity videos where I look at famous people's charts, usually like singers and actors and things like that. And I have been surprised at the number of iconic rock stars who have Sagittarius rising. Just the ones that I actually know about, because I haven't done too many of these videos, but I have done a few of them, quite a few. Um, Elvis had Sag rising, Elton John, and who's another one? I know that there's another one. Bob Dylan. Now, I wouldn't say anything about Bob Dylan in this regard because the rising sign can be your appearance, but with Elvis and Elton John, one thing both of these men have or had in common is sometimes struggling with weight. Your rising sign determines your ruler, and with Sag, the ruler is Jupiter, and Jupiter is about expansion. So people who have this this rising sign may put on weight more easily, although there might be other factors because Elton John has the moon in Taurus, and that could certainly add to the love of rich foods and just comfort eating, to kind of comfort one's emotions. So it might be more than just the Jupiter rulership because Bob Dylan has never had a weight problem. But I bet you there are others that are famous who have Sag rising. Why would this be the case? Because there's a larger than life quality when you think about somebody who is a star. Somebody like Elton John who would wear all these outrageous costumes, at least for a good portion of his career, wanting to, become more than himself because he saw himself as this kind of like a nebbish type of a guy, uh, not necessarily rock star material. And so by dressing up in these costumes, it could give him that sense of pageantry to make it something. I mean, look at these rock stars today. They wear like t-shirts and jeans. That is like so lame to me. The early 70s were the best for that kind of thing. And so another example is Elvis. Elvis was iconic because he set trends. His hairstyle, not that he necessarily even invented these things, but he, there are certain stars. And maybe it's because they died when they were younger. And I think of somebody like Elvis or Marilyn Monroe. And it's almost like they, lived and breathed their own iconic self. I don't know how else to put that. And even when Elvis was in his fat Elvis period, I don't like it. That's kind of disrespectful, but you know what I mean. When in the mid 70s, then he wore a jumpsuit. And guess what? People began to become Elvis impersonators. And that was, I think, a lot of it, that's what they loved, is to dress up, not only in the 50s, the pompadour and the leather jackets, but also the jumpsuits with the sequins and all of that. And so you definitely can make your mark on others, and you can be very memorable. And if it's not with what you're wearing, which it certainly could be because the rising sign can determine things like that, it could be with your vibe. But one last thing I want to say about the rising sign with Sagittarius is that all fire signs have a love of flash. And even though I don't have Sag as the ascendant, but as a sun sign, I do feel that the sun also can influence, especially as we get older, our way of dressing or what our taste is in general. And I feel like, I mean, I love colors. I dislike things that are neutral, beige, and, gray, things that are boring. I can't stand that. I feel like color is life. And so if you have this combination, you probably agree with me. I always joke about people that have Leo rising that they would love, kind of like being a lounge lizard or something, going to Las Vegas, and that kind of flash, that the golds and the what do you call it? I don't know if they still wear like gold lame type of shiny materials and sparkly sequins and all of that. And certainly this combination would favor bright colors. Now, would this combination be necessarily fashion savvy? Not. I'm not sure that that would be the case, because it might be a little bit tacky. There might be this tendency to wear colors that are very loud, but not very um, harmonious, if you will. You just want to make a statement. You just want to make a splash. Leo sun, Leo is ruled by the sun. So when your sun is in Leo, you live it to the hilt. And that means creative self expression. This is a creative combination because Sag is also creative, all fire. Aries is fire as well, is naturally creative. And the performer is a natural for this combination. So anything that you do where you're on stage, where you might feel very much at home, if you don't have that type of profession, then something like teaching can give you that kind of a taste for having an audience, because you're public speaking, you're in front of 25 students or more at a time. So that extroverted quality doesn't go to waste. People who are capable of being in front of others, there are all kinds of avenues for that, but usually I think of teaching and being an actor or being a singer, a musician. Another area that you would excel in, I think, is being a leader of something. So whether, Leo is a natural leader, and the Sagittarius energy is very positive. So that would be a great combination for a boss, a manager, somebody who manages other people, who, um, I think of the Queen and the King of Wands in the tarot. And this type of person can be very inspirational because they are coming from a positive place. And this is an important point because there's always the shadow element that can show up here. Usually I look at the moon sign for that sometimes, but it can show up with every placement that there's a lower version and a higher version. The lower version of Leo is the petty tyrant, the person who wants to be the center of attention and to have that respect from others, but they really have a self-loathing or but just a lot of negativity directed towards themselves that they project onto others, and they become very arrogant, demeaning, disrespectful to other people, think they're better than other people. This is not the highest expression of Leo. Leo people tend to be very respectful of others because they believe in dignity, human dignity. And that's like an important thing that they stand for. And so if they're ever not like that, you know that you're dealing with an imbalanced Leo. But the arrogance, the the condescending attitude. Um, Fire energy can be arrogant regardless. I mean, I'm saying this as a sun in Sagittarius. I do believe that we can come across as arrogant, and the reason is because we are very self directed. We really believe in the self and are capable of, you know, um, being quite autonomous. In other words, people who are kind of confused as to their identity, they tend to look outwards to get some sense of who they are. They will constantly ask people their opinions on, things that are going on in their life instead of having their own mind. And so fire signs tend to be very capable of tuning into their own individuality. I think, and they value individuality, so that makes them motivated to live that way. And therefore, they don't need to ask other people their opinions on what they should do. This can come across to other people as cocky, arrogant, full of themselves, and there might be some truth to it. But if somebody is being cocky, but they're not being disrespectful, then that is a distinction that has to be made. Sometimes people will peg somebody as cocky when really that person is just coming from a real sense of knowing about who they are as an individual. And so they carry themselves with that knowledge. And they're not trying to appeal to other people, trying to get other people's acceptance. They know that they don't need that. So that's where the confidence comes in, I guess. So this can be a confident combination, and it can lead to you inspiring confidence in others. And that's really what a leader has to do. The sun and the rising sign, when it does form a harmonious angle, in this case a trine, because these are both fire signs, and, technically it won't form a trine unless there's a certain degree span between them, but I will just uh, say that if just by being both being fire energies, I feel like there's a consistency in who you really are and what you project in this lifetime. And that does inspire confidence in other people because they can sense that you are coming from an authentic place. In terms of love, this is a romantic combination, although Sag rising may make you less inclined to settle down early. You might be one of those people who waits until your 30s to even think about doing so because you might be traveling. If you do go to college, you might study abroad. Sag rules the ninth house of foreign travel, and those cultures may be very appealing to you. Um, Fire signs value freedom at all costs because you know that in order to be your authentic self, you have to have the agency to do so. And if you are pursuing somebody else's vision, it can be very difficult to feel like you are being truly creative and putting your creative stamp on something. So there could be a dilemma sometimes where the person feels like they can't be who they came here to be. And that could make you quit a job where you feel too hemmed in. Or if it's a 9 to 5 job, I think, well, I shouldn't say that because actually, I do believe that Leo, because Leo's a fixed sign, that you may favor having a fixed schedule, but it's going to depend on other factors. Look to your sixth house. If you have Uranus there, then you may be more inclined to work for yourself, have your own hours, not feel like you have to just, you know, punch a time clock or be on a hamster wheel. So I mentioned the entertainment field, artistic fields that maybe don't involve actual entertaining or entertainment, but like a painter, a poet, a playwright, a novelist, or something along those lines. Like I said, an educator, and this could be at any level. Sag is known for intellectual pursuits because Sag rules the ninth house of the higher mind. So that involves academia. But Leo is an intelligent sign as well. And people may look at Leo's personality and that might overshadow their really strong mind. The fire signs are very intelligent, but they can be kind of physical sometimes. And so, Sag is the centaur. I don't know. I always say is a centaur, the half horse and half man. That the horse part indicates that wild part that loves to run, um, or jog or whatever. That loves to do things that are physical. And the mental part is the intellectual part. So, anyway, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. One last thing I want to say is that I think that this is a great combination for somebody to be like a life coach. Actually, any kind of coach, even if you were coaching as volunteer work, for a local softball team, you'd be great at that too. Because of your inspirational qualities, being positive, and the Sag part is philosophical, which means that the person is who has this combination is probably engaging life in a more conscious way. Some people just kind of go through the motions of life, and they're kind of letting life happen to them. A person with Sag rising questions the meaning of life, and this is a very important thing to do, because if you believe that we're here for a reason, then you have to question, what is that reason? And then you're living intentionally. See, there I go. There I go, being my philosophical Sagittarian self. If you have Jupiter as your ruler, you might be a very lucky person. You may feel aligned, but you also are positive. So to me, that helps you, if you think of the law of attraction, to attract more positive things to you. So that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.